And it was a cool Sunday, that of March the 7th, 1971. Dr. Richard Montague of UCLA goes home. It's his last time entering that house alive. Every linguist has to die. Edward Sapir had a heart attack at 55. Leonard Bloomfield withered away for 3 years after a stroke at age 59. Karl Brugmann tapped out on the job at age 70. De Saussure died of cancer at 55. And Richard Montague was found strangled by a towel in his bathtub at age 40. I'm Connor Quimby, and this is The Death of a Linguist. Montague is best known today for his contributions to the foundation of the field of formal semantics, which sits at the intersection between syntax, semantics, and philosophy. In fact, he basically started the field, showing that natural languages can be analyzed as formal languages with his earth-shattering Montague grammar. This work was expanded posthumously by Barbara Pardee, who had previously worked with Montague. But his career didn't actually start with formal semantics. He was a philosopher and mathematician. He got his BA in philosophy in 1950, an MA in mathematics in 1953, and a PhD in philosophy in 1957, all from UC Berkeley. His advisor and colleague from his PhD work until his death was none other than the mathematician Alfred Tarski. You may know that name if you've watched Vsauce. He's one half of the Banach-Tarski paradox. Montague's early work was concerning set theory and logic before he got interested in the philosophy of language during the 1960s. His main theory there was that natural language could be expressed via formal set language. There is, in my opinion, no important theoretical difference between natural languages and the artificial languages of logicians. Indeed, I consider it possible to comprehend the syntax and semantics of both kinds of language within a single natural and mathematically precise theory. On this point, I differ from a number of philosophers, but agree, I believe, with Chomsky and his associates. That is from Universal Grammar, 1970. Now, I would try to explain how it works, but we did this in my syntax class last year, and I got a B in it. So here's a quick rundown, but I'm really not that good at it. So let's write the Montague grammar for cat. Basically, there's some cat x, right? There needs to be a referent. And this cat is a function that can be fed into higher order functions, which create sentences and events. And yeah, I can't explain this well. Oh my God. Oh my. It's great for the interface of syntax and semantics, but I specialize in phonetics and historical linguistics, so yeah. He did a few other things with his life, though. He was an extremely accomplished organist and highly successful in real estate. But Montague, a man whose academic and professional work was so meticulous and detail-oriented, had a reckless and dangerous side. He was openly gay in the 1960s, at least in his academic social sphere, and he lived with his partner Bob Lee. But that's not it. It was known by some of his colleagues that Montague liked to have parties in the Dionysian tradition. He would go to bars and bring multiple men back to his house quite often. One time, he was left tied up and he had his house robbed of everything of value. The week of his death, he was working with Tarski and the logician Dana Scott on a set theory book. On March 7th, 1971, he brought 3 or 4 men home from a bar. He was found strangled in the bathtub with a bath towel by a friend a few days later, with his wallet on the soap dish. The killers took his Bentley, crashed it into a telephone pole, set it on fire, and fled on foot. They were never identified. His funeral had fellow academics, the pastor of his church where he was an organist, real estate people, and homosexual friends attending. Everyone was confused about the other groups being there. Richard Montague led a life of the mind, tedious, detail-oriented, and obsessively careful in his work. His death was anything but that. This video was made possible by the support of my Patreon supporters, who keep this channel running. So thank you to John Costello, Andrew R., Benny, Albert Jones, Acorn, Agma Schwa, Obfuscable, Cactus, Eden, Pirate, The Wub, Elijah, Stein G, Ayu, and Babalingua. If you want to support the channel, consider supporting me on Patreon, and of course subscribing if you haven't already. Thank you for watching.